This quilt, a block patchwork dating to 1855, is one of my favourite in the collection. It has a wonderful story and was a very enjoyable conservation challenge. All too often, historic quilts survive without any firm date or documented information that connects the quilts to its makers. This patchwork coverlet, however, is an exception and therefore a welcome addition to the Bowes Museum collection. Its embroidered inscription in the centre panel gives that rare connection to its maker and to when it was likely made. It states, Isabella Peacock, own work, aged 14, 1855. In 19th century Britain and later, young girls like Isabella were often skilled needlewomen, trained both at home and at school. Using wool embroidery threads, Isabella carefully crafted the coverlet's central panel with a swirling floral design. Then she signalled her pride in her skill by including the words, own work, in the inscription. On Mother's Day, I think this is a lovely story to imagine. My mum taught me to sew, and I love this link between my family and the family of Isabella. The embroidered panel is the eye-catching centrepiece. Surrounding it are square cotton blocks joined in an alternating sequence of plain white squares and patchwork squares. When joined in this traditional format, the coloured squares of the patchwork blocks form a chain design. The chain pattern was one of the popular patterns used for patchwork quilts in England's northern counties in the 19th century. When this quilt arrived in the collection, it was grey and had a few brown stains and a couple of holes. I decided, with the help of two interns at the time, since the soiling was all over, to wet clean it. We have a large bath in the conservation studio where we immersed the quilt in a conservation grade detergent and gently sponged it to release the soiling. We watched out for any dye bleed, although we had tested all the colours beforehand and so we had no problems. Once clean, we dried it flat so we could remove any creases which had formed over the years. The little holes were supported with a patch inserted behind the damage and secured with laid couching. If you look really closely, especially around the middle, you might be able to see some of our stitching. With its soft feminine tones, the patchwork blocks in this coverlet may also have been made by Isabella Peacock and stitched together with the plain cotton squares in this simple but effective format. But does her own work refer to the whole charming bedspread or just the centrepiece? With the passage of time, we can only speculate. Perhaps you and your family can ponder this when you see it hanging in our exhibition.